Is everybody in?
Is everybody in?
What's going on, creeps? Doc Fugit here for another installment of the podcast, brought to you by beer, Harpoon, Golden, Crisp, Light, Bodydale, and smoking. That's right, smoke them if you got them, creeps. All right. Well, after the nuclear heat that has been blasted on the Predator, I think that, we need an episode dedicated to Shane Black's The Predator. I mean, nothing really gets too much more cyclical than where the Predator franchise has come. Whether you love it, whether you hate it, you gotta admit it's pretty crazy that the guy who came to punch up the script for the original Predator, along with playing a little role, Hawkins, that was his character's name, Shane Black has come back to write and direct a brand new Predator installment. And, I mean, tune me out if you want to right now. I mean, I did not hate it. And it wasn't perfect, but I did not hate it. It was really fun seeing Fred Dekkar and Shane Black kind of get back together, because there was a definite Monster Squad vibe in there, along with, I don't know, I thought there was some pretty, with what they did, I think they did as cool of a job as anybody probably could have done. Hate me for that opinion all you want, but it's how I feel. I think we need to begin this episode, though, by discussing all of the sequels which led up to the newest installment, directed by Shane Black and written by him and Fred Dekkar, like I just said. But per usual, let me get some housekeeping out of the way before we get into the nitty-gritty. As you may know, we here at Horrid Lore are into all forms of mythology beyond horror, namely comic books. And as I know, almost everyone hates the Iron Fist Netflix show. But I have to admit, I have a soft spot for Danny Rand and have been given the new season to go. And it's been pretty good so far. I liked the first season, to be honest. The episode that Riz directed, I think it was episode 7. That one is really cool when he goes through the feats and tests. So I'm here to try and help you find some Iron Fist stories which would be to your liking if you're into the subject matter, but you can't really get into the show, which I can understand. We also, here at Horrid Lore, love talking about retcons. And Danny Rand / Iron Fist may be one of the most heavily restructured characters ever in comic books. And that's just for how little he's been around. Let me explain. Iron Fist, along with the previously created Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, came from Marvel Comics during an American pop culture trend in the early to mid-1970s of martial arts heroes. I mean, I'm sure you know Bruce Lee. Kung Fu was pretty bumping in the 70s. Text piece in Marvel Premiere number 15 that provided Iron Fist's origin and creation. As the Marvel Premiere issues had successfully established a considerable readership for the character following this run, Iron Fist was immediately spun off into the solo series Iron Fist, which ran for only 15 issues. A subplot involving the Steel Serpent left unresolved by the cancellation of the series was wrapped up in issues 63 through 64 of Marvel Team Up. I mean, this is just getting really geeky here, but I'm just giving you the bare bones of why I'm so interested in this fucking character. So, because the story of Danny Rand is just as interesting as his fictional story, I'd say. So, to rescue the character from cancellation, Marvel paired Iron Fist with another character who is no longer popular enough to sustain his own series. You probably know him from Netflix too, Luke Cage. The two characters were partnered in a 3-part story in Luke Cage's series. The title of the series changed to Power Man and Iron Fist on issue number 50. Iron Fist co-starred in the series until the final issue, in which he's killed. Writer Jim Owsley later commented that Fist's death was senseless and shocking and completely unforeseen. It took the readers' heads clean off. And to this day, people are still mad about it. This was clearly a petty move since the publication was ending. Iron Fist was then revived half a decade later in Namor the Submariner, in a story which revealed that the Iron Fist originally killed was an alien, a Skrull doppelganger of Danny Rand, to be precise. Iron Fist then became a pretty frequent star in the anthology series Marvel Comics Presents, featured in 2 solo miniseries, Iron Fist Volume 2 in September 96. Also along this time, he was among the ensemble of the group series Heroes for Hire, which ran for 19 issues, which led into the Netflix series that he's in right now. Alright, now to wrap this up, let's jump forward 20 years. Iron Fist appeared as a regular character throughout the 2010-2013 New Avengers series, from issue 1 through its finale. And this is because of the greatest Iron Fist story ever, in my eyes. Here we go. I told you we'd get to some stories that you would be able to get into if you're into the subject matter. Ironically, it's entitled The Last Iron Fist Story. It's written by Matt Fraction, who's one of my favorite Marvel writers. And he had a little help from the ever-immortal Ed Brubaker. And in this, we are introduced to a lot of the bits that are used in the Netflix show. So let's start from the start with the official truth of Danny. Trust me, it works a lot better this way. Fraction didn't change any of the origin, just reiterated exactly what we've seen and weaved it into an opening that went in tandem with a really dope fight against a squadron of Hydra agents. So as we know, many years ago in the mystical city of Kunlun, young Danny Rand stared at a suit, the suit of the immortal Iron Fist, knowing that one day he would wear it. But where did this costume come from? So we get a history-spanning kung fu epic from Matt Fraction that has a really tight beginning and ending. The overall story arc introduces something very new, Orson Randall, Danny Rand's immediate predecessor as Iron Fist, who reneged on his responsibilities to Kunlun after suffering immense psychological trauma during the First World War. Randall lived in drug-soaked seclusion and is pursued by agents of the Steel Serpent and the terrorist group Hydra. Jolted out of his decades-long ennui, Randall seeks out Danny Rand in New York and gives him the Book of the Iron Fist, a sacred ledger supposedly containing all of the kung fu secrets of previous Iron Fists. Secrets, which Randall claims will be necessary if Danny's gonna compete successfully in the upcoming tournament of the 7 capital cities of heaven. I won't hold us up too long on this. Long story short, all of Matt Fraction's Iron Fist is fucking amazing. If you like Iron Fist at all, you should check it out. It's only 6 issues for the first one. I think it's like 15 altogether. It's super fun, way out there, with some pretty grounded drama to boot. Something Fraction's always able to pull off with some seeming ease that I wish I had. Along with his penchant for writing some real, actual, closed-off endings. I would highly suggest that all Marvel fans give it a look. It's very easy to read on its own. Alright, one more thing. If you're an initiated listener, you will know that I have a penchant for media which receives polarized responses from fans. Well, this week it came in the form of American Horror Story Apocalypse. Admittedly, I fell off from this show after the 3rd season. Like, I appreciate that it is a huge middle finger to genre work. I love that kind of stuff. Like, that's why I like the Venture Bros so much, I think. Just like that kind of like middle finger that the first Predator gives, where they literally unload all their artillery without making a single hit. Be back to Predator there, but we'll be back to Predator soon. Like I said, I promise. So it's seeming to me like hardcore fans of American Horror Story are missing that this is a middle finger to the genre in general. It's not a genre. It's like meta genre. I don't know. We're in a weird age right now. So this season seems to finally be going like in that full silly direction, and a lot of people seem to think that this is not only a slap in the face, but a huge gob of spit right in the face. I found it refreshing as hell, though. Being the first episode that I've been able to finish since Coven, the 3rd season. That was years ago. I always try the premiere and just can't find myself engaged. This one, however, fires like a fucking machine gun. There wasn't even an opportunity for me to get bored, even if what I was watching was dumb. And I love me a good laugh at some dumb. So, along with some great set and character designs, like it's pretty awesome. Definitely worth a look unless you're super stubborn, which I can empathize with. But sometimes, with all the amazing content we're being bombarded with, it's refreshing to just watch something that's really pretty and you don't have to think too much about it. It's kind of dumb and fun. Sorry if that sounded backhanded, but it's sincerely how I feel. I really am into this new season, but I haven't really been able to get into the ones before. Alright, so now let's get down into it, the nitty-gritty.
The Predator franchise.
So let's start from the start, both in my heart and chronologically. Down to brass ticky-tacks, Predator 2. The first sequel feels a lot like a feature-length episode of Tales from the Crypt that's centered around the Predator terrorizing LA in the distant future of 1997. This one attempted to evolve the character and his wonderful toys. But beyond that, it developed it about as much as I developed between the ages of 13 and 14. Quick side note, if you're also on a big Predator binge right now, like I was, and want to avoid those AVP travesties, check out an amazing fan-made short called Predator Dark Ages, which involves a group of Templar knights engaged in battle with the infamous creature. It's only about a half hour long, but it has a nice beginning, middle, and an end, puts this familiar formula in a way cooler setting, and leaves you wanting more, or at least I did. And I mean, it might be like the coolest Predator fucking sequel, to be honest, because it takes everything from the original and doesn't really, it doesn't really cheap out for how, it couldn't have cost too much money for being a fucking fan-made film that isn't allowed to make money. But yeah, fucking go look it up. Once again, it's called Predator Dark Ages. I don't know, maybe someday this guy will get fucking funding and he'll be able to make it a feature, because I think that would probably be the coolest Predator sequel ever. Alright. As amazing as Predator 2 is, though, the sequel was an obvious attempt to bottle lightning twice, and obviously that was not going to happen, as it never does. Especially after Arnold and the original director, John McTiernan, declined after reading the script, feeling that the urban locale completely defeated the purpose of what they did in the original, and a lot of fans felt that way too. It did definitely work, though, introducing some new Predator toys, as I said before, like that net thing that won't stop squeezing until you're sliced fruit. And along with that spike frisbee dealie, I know it's got a name that you're, again, probably screaming at me, and I don't know it. And given a tiny peek into their culture at the very end there, which reveals that the race has been hunting on our planet for at least hundreds of years, if not tens of thousands. And, Danny Glover carries this one a lot like he did with Saw 1. Not putting in an extreme amount of effort, but his general star power and presence carries it along just fine. The only real tie-in between Predator and Predator 2 is Gary Busey's character, Keyes, a CIA official and the head of the OLWF team operating in Los Angeles in 1997. He's the father of Sean Keyes, remember that name, acting under the cover of a special DEA task force investigating LA's raging drug war. Keyes and his men were actually attempting to capture the Predator loose in LA. Now, I did a little extra homework and found out that this character replaced what they wanted for Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, giving him a backstory of hearing Dutch's account of events because he was subsequently sent into Valverde, where the original took place, to investigate. After studying the site where the Predator's self-destruct device had been detonated, the team discovered evidence of a spaceship launch in the jungle. Unknown to them, the deceased Predator's ship had automatically returned to the Predator homeworld, following its owner's death, with a record of what had happened. Dutch later escaped from the hospital and vanished, although Keyes personally believed he was still alive as of 1997. But not now in 2018, apparently, since he was nowhere to be found in The Predator. Speaking of Keyes and the new film, Jake Busey, son of Gary Busey, plays Sean, who I mentioned earlier and told you to remember. Obviously, the man who would have the absolute last word when it comes to anything about the creature, which in the new film, it is pointed out, is not really a predator, since by definition, a predator hunts for food. These creatures are more like that loser dentist a few years back that killed that beautiful tiger. Fuck that guy. I'm not even going to bother looking up his name because I'm not going to put his name out there, but you remember, I bet. That's what the Predator is more like. Which I have to admit is a remarkable observation, which kind of turns the title on its head, and I think definitely kind of flew over a lot of people's heads. Because I never really thought about it, I gotta admit. And as I mentioned, I really am not a fan of the AVP movies and will honestly gloss over them as much as possible. But I did rewatch them, all of the first one, but I don't think I'll ever be able to finish the second one, to be honest with you. Now, to be completely honest, full disclosure, I wasn't even a fan of Alien vs. Predator when I was 13. Yeah, I was 13 when it came out, and that is very telling of how much I really don't care for this film. Now, I think it would be a really cool movie if it didn't involve things that I'm so into. Because I do like the director, Paul W.S. Anderson. Not Paul T. Anderson, not Paul Thomas Anderson, who did like The Master and There Will Be Blood and Inherent Vice. I'm talking about Paul W.S. Anderson, who did Mortal Kombat. He made a bunch of fun movies just like Mortal Kombat. And AVP could have been just as fun of a movie if it didn't take the alien mythology, mainly the alien mythology. I'm not even talking about the Predator mythology here. and just shit on it. People actually have the gall to say that they like the backstory of fucking Lance Henriksen as Bishop Whalen as a good guy than they do as Guy Pearce playing him in fucking Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And I think anyone who says that needs to fuck off and stop watching Alien. I'm sorry if you feel that way, and I just swore at you, but it's very irksome because Alien vs. Predator really bugs me because I can't stand that being the backstory of the Whalen Company. The owner of the Whalen Company has to be evil. You can't make him good. You can't fucking do it. That's all I really have to say on that. And, I mean, like I said, there was some stuff in it that, like, I watched it until the end. I did finish it. I honestly still can't get into it. Because it just fucks up the alien mythos, like I just said with that, especially now that Prometheus is out, and I love that movie so much, and I do like Alien Covenant, sue me. But it also fucks up Predator so hard, too, by making him a fucking good guy. I mean, it does kind of make sense in the end of Predator 2, where the other one allows Danny Glover to survive because he proved himself as a hunter. But why the fuck is the Predator not just killing this chick in AVP and going after the xenomorph on his own? I don't understand why he allows this chick to live. She's not proving that she's a skilled hunter. She's just proving that she's a skilled survivor, if anything. And she survives mainly because of him. So I don't know. It just irks me. I mean, obvious ending of that was going to be that the dead main Predator was going to have a hybrid xenomorph Predator come out, and that's where they really lost me. I mean, maybe if Requiem had better side characters in it, I could get more into it, because, like, literally, I remember this was around the same time that Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie came out, and I sat through all of that. So that just goes to show you, I was able to sit through all of Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie, and I walked out of Alien vs. Predator Requiem when I was like, what was I think I was 17 when that one came out. I couldn't finish it because the characters are just so lame. I just can't. I cannot get into it. The sound. Oh, I forgot to even mention this. The fucking sound effects. The sound design in the first one, where the Predator just makes the sound of a completely unedited, unaltered roaring tiger. Like the MGM opening is all the Predator noises in AVP. That drove me fucking nuts. It just gets even worse in Requiem. I mean, no respect held to the original material. No thought put into. I mean, I just think this is just such a derivative, shitty gimmick in the first place. I don't really like Freddy vs. Jason either. They're just not able to create any characters in them, because all it's doing is just leading up to this battle that's not even that impressive. All right, you heard me spit my venom on Alien vs. Predator, and that's all I'm gonna make you suffer through on that. And so now let's get into another one before the newest one, the last one, Predators, which I'm also not extremely nuts about. If you haven't seen it, Predators is pretty much just the original Predator, but it takes place on the Predator homeworld, not on Earth. So yeah, it's really not that impressive. It's got Adrian Brody in the place of fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is just as laughable as it sounds. I mean, hey, Adrian probably got just about as big as his body possibly can get, but he's just not Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, kudos to Adrian Brody for getting in that kind of action hero shape, but I mean, it's just genetics, man. He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of laughable. What is very good about this Predators movie, though, is the fact that Lawrence Fishburne has a little cameo in it. This is something I'll get into a little meat about, because I just spit so much fucking venom on the AVP movies. This one did have like a little chunk that I did kind of love. Fucking Mr. Lawrence Fishburne's cameo. He plays this man who is dumped on the planet, just like everyone else. I mean, there are some decent actors in this movie, like Walton Goggins, one of my favorite fucking character actors in the world. In one of his probably worst roles, but, I mean, love me some Walton Goggins no matter what the role is, good, bad, or ugly. Usually they are bad and ugly. He's like the definition of fucking a character actor who plays fucking a Tuco if you're familiar with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But I digress. Lawrence Fishburne's fucking cameo in Predators is amazing. He's like, he's been there for fucking, on that planet for fucking, I don't know. He's like fucking catatonic. He's got disassociative personalities, talking to himself. It's fucking great. It was back when he was like super fat too, like looking his worst. I mean, it just like fit the character so well that he was gonna like help them at first, and then he was gonna fucking kill them, and it was great. He plays an amazing, just fucking nutcase that is a nice. It's like right halfway through the movie, and it's just a nice little like change of pace, nice little breather. Other than that, the main like they tried putting in that movie was that there are like super predators and just regular predators, and all we've seen are the regular predators, which they do in the new one also, but they put some thought into it in the new one. And I'm almost 100% positive that was something that the studio has a fucking boner for. But other than that, I just didn't really care for it in this one because it's like,
ooh, it's a class war on the Predator planet. Even the Predators are oppressed, blah, blah, blah.
It's just stupid. I don't know. It was like kind of fun to see for the first time in theaters. If you haven't seen it, it's like, and you're a Predator fan, it's definitely worth like a shot. But I mean, other than that, it's very mediocre. I wouldn't say subpar because it's like I said, there are some good actors in it. Lawrence Fishburne is pretty great in it. The ending is literally a fucking like beat for beat mimicry of the ending in the original, which is pretty fucking stupid. Except it's with a super predator, not a regular predator. Yeah, that one's, I don't know, it's worth a look, kinda. Robert Rodriguez produced it, which probably gave it some of the pizzazz that it had. Okay. Now to move over to the newest installment.
The Predator.
First and foremost, I need to address the elephant in the room. I am, of course, talking about Olivia Munn demanding a scene be retracted after finding out that her scene partner was a sex offender. After about a week of silence, other than her confusion towards the imploded press junkets to promote the movie, which made a lot more sense to, you know, if you think about it, there was nothing to really promote because that's all people were going to be talking about. So, that was all up until the night of the premiere. I think that was last Wednesday. The other night. Normally, this is not something that I would comment on even, but since I've seen a lot of people saying that they want to boycott the... Like, I saw so many people posting about how awful of a movie this is before anyone had seen it. And they were saying that no one should see it based on this mere fact. And I think that is very telling of why there were no press junkets. And I think Olivia Munn was probably very emotional about it and has probably never experienced anything like this. I'm not saying that she was wrong in any sense whatsoever. But I think everybody just didn't really know how to fucking react because it was so close to when the movie came out. So, I should try to give all the facts that exist before discussing the film. The cast were not at all, on any sort of negative terms. I think the media just ramped up some personal comments she made that were understandably, like I said, very emotional. And Shane Black, who hired the actor because they were longtime friends, said, here's the quote, "I'm deeply sorry, I really am, for the pain I've caused. I'm the captain of the ship, right? So it doesn't matter that this guy who I put in the movie is a friend of mine. He was not forthright. He was not honest with me. That doesn't matter, because I'm not allowed to make a decision based on what I think. I had a guy with a criminal past. That's sensitive, to say the least. And I put him in the movie, and I didn't tell the cast and the crew. That's on me. I take full responsibility. That's irresponsible, and I shouldn't have done it." And then he asked the media to keep the mediation on the situation out of the headlines, and I think that's how it should be. I hope that the two of them can work things out. I hope Olivia Munn can move forward. I hope that she doesn't act out on those emotional threats she made of quitting acting, because she is pretty talented and very comely, very attractive young lady. And I do love Shane Black, and I think that was I think that took a lot to say how he was wrong. I mean, there's no other way to go around it. That fucking disgusting freak who fucking got caught like To Catch a Predator style back in 2004 hitting on his 14-year-old cousin. I mean, let me get real on you. I've known people who have fucking gotten weird fucking charges like that and said like, oh yeah, the chick was fucking 16 or blah blah blah. And then I'll find out months later, yeah, she was 14, man. And I mean, obviously I will no longer associate myself with the person, but even retroactively, I'll look like a fucking weird piece of shit for even being around that person. It's a weird situation to be in, so I can kind of empathize with him. But not really, because I've never had it on that scale. I'm just saying it's a very dicey thing, and that probably shouldn't really be taken into your account of how you feel about the movie. Now, as I get into this, I know a lot of you have some real big-time gripes and have been letting everyone know all about it. Is the original better? Is water wet? Both obvious questions with the same answer. But I gotta say, I definitely see this as Predator 3 in the canon. Fred Dekkar and Shane Black getting together for the first time since Monster Squad. I mean, it's just such a great pairing. I mean, the fact that Shane Black always makes these Christmas movies, and this one was based in Halloween, and you can feel that as like a direct... There's some scenes where you can feel the fucking direct ties with Monster Squad if you watch it recently. Because I went on a Predator rampage, and I went on a Shane Black rampage, and obviously I watched that one because it was the same team that was working on it. And you can really see it. I mean, although I guess a lot of stuff from Monster Squad doesn't really fly anymore in 2018, watching it again. Namely, the bullying aspect, which is also a heavy motivator in a pretty big character in the Predator, too. It's just a very taboo thing to do, but I think that it works. But, and again, if you're wondering if I'm trying to say is Monster Squad... Is this movie superior to Monster Squad? Like, you might as well be asking, was JFK black? Like, no. This movie is not better than Monster Squad, but it's the same team, and you can get some of the same vibes off of it, and I thought that was fucking great. Like, beyond Predator vibes, like, them fucking in sync. I mean, as skeptical as you can be on this movie, you have to admit it's a wild ride. Even if you're saying it like, oh yeah, it was a wild ride, alright. I mean, because it is. It's a summer movie. There's so many people out there that are trying to say that every movie that's like a reinstallation into a franchise, that it's like raping their childhood if it's not exactly the movie that they want. Here's the news to everyone out there that was included into this. People don't make movies just for you. They're made for everyone to enjoy. So once you have that knowledge, you should be able to just sit back and try and appreciate things rather than fucking ticking off. Movie sins. Everything went wrong with that movie. What about everything that went fucking right? Do you know how goddamn hard it is to make something? Especially something that people are already in love with and have so much fucking expectation towards? Stop being so mean. All of you guys are calling me a big meanie on fucking Instagram because I said I didn't care that Aaron Paul's going to be in Westworld Season 3. How about you take a look at yourself? Alright, well. Like I said, this movie zips right along all the way through, an hour and 40 minutes, and I mean, it's like I said, it's my Predator 3. And as I'm saying that, I mean Predator 1's the best, Predator 2's the second best, and this is the third best. And if you're trying to tell me Alien vs. Predator Requiem is better than this, you need to get checked into a fucking clinic. Alright? Because this movie is made by two people who have been around for a very long time. I mean, say what you will, maybe the jokes are a little dusty, maybe everything isn't as perfect as it possibly could have been. Hey! We got ourselves a visitor. An intruder. An intruder in the homestead.
Am I intruding?
Yes! You are fucking intruding.
I can see the recording of the intruding.
Sorry about that, creeps. It is actually the day. It is actually tomorrow right now. I had a rare social calling. Went out and saw some friends. Also, on my own, saw Mandy. So I'm very excited to come back with you next week and do an episode on Panos Cosmatos, who I think has a really good shot at being the next Guillermo del Toro, as in being a tubby Spanish guy who makes really beautiful looking horror movies. But that's going to have to wait until next week. So, to get back to where I was. Where the fuck was I? We were talking about how The Predator maybe was not the tightest script in the world. And it's definitely true. You can definitely tell Fred Dekkar and Shane Black's age a little bit in it. It wasn't, definitely wasn't as good as I expected it to be, because, Shane Black's been on kind of a fucking hot streak, if you ask me. Over the last 5 or 6 years. I loved. Yeah, that was 5 years ago that Iron Man 3 came out, but I loved that movie. I fucking loved The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. I guess the studio probably just clamped down on him a bit, like we were talking about earlier. Obviously, a scene had to be cut, but that was something that would have had to happen anyway. That had nothing to do with the studio or anything like that. That was just a awful thing that slipped through the cracks. But you can definitely tell that other than that, there was a lot of tinkering with this one. But, it was the same with the original sequel. You could tell that a lot of things weren't going along with the movie to make it the best. But, the same thing happened with the original. I'm sure a lot of you probably know that Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally supposed to be the Predator. Like, that was, like, I guess he was, like, straight off the fucking boat from Brussels when he got the job to be the Predator. And I don't know if it was, like, maybe, like, sabotage from Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I know him, Sylvester Stallone, and Jean-Claude were, like, the three guys vying to be, like, the top macho guy from, like, the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s, and obviously Sylvester Stallone and Arnold won out because they're a lot more memorable than Jean-Claude. I can't even really do a Jean-Claude impression of, like, speaking broken English. It's very difficult. He doesn't really have that stamp on him, like, hey, yo, it's me, Adrian. Hey, yo, it's me, Adrian. And Maria. Because, they're all three of them are people that can barely speak fucking English, and they all did kind of the same movies. It's just, fucking Arnold obviously wins out because he got either the best scripts or he delivered all these terrible lines. Like, fucking, even in Predator, stick around. Fucking, see you at the party. Chill. He just, obviously, I'll be back. Just fucking, I don't know what it even is about his voice, but I feel like that's almost half of what's so amazing about Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I think that maybe there was a decent chance that it might have been because of him that Jean-Claude Van Damme was unaware that... just go and look this fucking suit up right now. Even the designer has called it fucking awful. Look up the original Predator design right now, and, like, you'll see why it is so fucking hilarious that Jean-Claude Van Damme had no idea that he was going to be in this suit. He just thought he was going to, like, wear some makeup and, show everyone off my kickboxing moves. Like, he thought he was just going to be, like, dancing around with a little makeup on. Well, because, they were shooting in the fucking jungle in Mexico, so, it's not that hard to assume that they wouldn't be putting this ridiculous rubber suit on him. And I guess he was fucking pissed. Because obviously it looked so stupid, and he was bitching about how stupid it looked, and they were like, oh, well, actually, it's the cloaking device. And goes, so I would not even be seen in the movie? And so obviously he ended up getting fired, and they redesigned the costume. That's what I'm saying. Like, all of these movies were plagued by some sort of disaster. It just seems like the original probably just had... I'd say the second one probably didn't have enough time, and they're kind of just crammed, like, trying to bottle lightning again and put it out before people forgot about Predator in general. And the first one had more time to kind of iron out the kinks, so it came out so fucking splendidly because they had so much off time while they were redesigning the Predator suit. And I think this one maybe had too much time in the oven and too much ability for it to be tinkered and changed around and everything, because you could definitely tell that it is at what is like an hour and 40 minutes. Like, it's a pretty, for what it is, it's pretty great, because all it is really just like a tight, fun movie where I really didn't get bored at almost like any point. A couple really shitty jokes. I don't really understand why the Super Predator brought its dog with it. Well, I mean, I understand why it brought its dog with it to, to be its fucking hunting dog, guard dog, whatever, but the dog didn't really do anything in the movie. That I kind of really didn't understand. But I mean, other than that, it was pretty cool. Like, I'll definitely watch it again when it fucking comes out. I mean, it's not something I'd watch again like right now, but I don't see why you could say, because like I was saying earlier, people are saying this is as bad as Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and I mean, I finish every movie. I love dumb, like I've said so many times during this, and Requiem is not just dumb, it is like mind-numbingly boring. Like, I mean, The Predator, the new one, you really can't say that it's boring, because I mean, it's making you think about what's going on, even if you're bitching about it and whatnot and blah blah blah, and it's just like, those Alien vs. Predator movies just fucking like turned your goddamn brain off completely. I mean, like, not even in a good way. Like, now that we have, like, fucking smartphones, like, back when that came out, that would just be something that you'd be like a zombie sitting in front of, like, not thinking. Now it's just like 5 minutes into AVP Requiem, I tried my best. I did pretty good with the first one of not looking at my phone. I mean, I dicked around on my phone a decent amount when I was watching the first one. I can't lie by the end, because I don't know. The first one's pretty boring too, but Requiem, since I'd never finished it, I literally tried forcing myself to, like, I had the phone in another goddamn room, and I ended up, first thing I did was break it out because I was getting so goddamn bored, and then it was just like, I can't even pay attention to this because it's so boring. I don't understand how anyone could even watch that movie now that smartphones exist. I don't know, like, if you really do feel that way about The Predator, you're completely entitled to feel that way. I'm just throwing my opinion out there. I just think people are being a little bit too harsh on this, and I think maybe that's scaring people away a bit. Also, all the people fucking screaming about the boycott, which I think is a gross overreaction to this. I mean, if you don't want to see the movie, don't see the movie, but I mean, don't not see it because of that. I mean, it seems like everything's pretty resolved on that. Shane Black spoke out, apologized. He made a nice public apology. He said he's going to apologize to Olivia Munn. They're going to iron things out, definitely. We don't have to fucking worry about it. Don't not see it because of that, and don't not see it because of all these people that are saying, like, I don't know. Just see it and judge for yourself. That's what I did, and I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I didn't even like it as much as I really thought I would, but I really did enjoy it. It was one of the better movies I saw this summer. I mean, was it the best movie of the year? Clearly not. Obviously not. Was it the worst movie I've seen this year? Clearly not. So, I mean, I don't know. I said this the last week with The Nun, too. Like, there was obvious flaws. There's almost always going to be fucking... I mean, I'll be honest. I'm going to have to go back and watch Mandy again, because I did not see too many... I couldn't really think of any point where I wasn't just mouth open enjoying every aspect of the movie, but I'll have to rewatch it so I can dig deeper and we can have an in-depth discussion on it. So what you'll have to do is watch both of those movies before coming into this next podcast, because it's going to be a double feature, hardcore. I mean, unless you don't care about fucking getting spoilers and you just want to join along with Doc and all my creeps and creepettes, then by all means join along for my Panos Cosmatos double feature next week. But, I mean, if you don't want any spoilers, especially for Mandy, I don't want to ruin that movie for anybody. I refuse. Anybody I'm even telling to see it, I won't say anything about it. I'm telling them not to watch the trailer if they haven't seen it yet. And yeah, if you haven't fucking heard about it or seen it yet, that's what I'd advise you do. Fucking go in blind and see Mandy. And I mean, if you love it, you're going to love it. Hate it, you're going to hate it. The only thing I think I can really, really compare it to is Mad Max Fury Road, and it's still like so much more out there than that was, because this is so much more of a low budget movie. Not like there really is no big studio feel to it like Mad Max had, which I don't mind. I didn't mind that The Predator had a big studio feel to it. That's kind of what made it such a fun action movie, in my opinion. But, I mean, if you are a Predator fan, I think, and if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry if I spoiled anything for you and you want to see it, but just fucking fuck it. Go ahead, go out and see it. If you want to see a new Predator movie, it is a new Predator movie. It's not child rape. No, childhood rape, sorry, not child rape. But, I mean, it's not like, when someone makes a movie in a franchise that you loved as a child and it's not exactly what you want, that's not someone raping your childhood. That's someone, I don't know, just trying to fucking go against the grain a little bit. I don't know. If you're really that hardcore against this movie, I'm sure you probably wouldn't even listen to this in the first place. So, I don't know. I don't know who I'm speaking to at the moment. If anyone, because I fucked up so hard. And I ignored you and left you for a day, even though not really. Because this will still be out to you on Tuesday. I don't know, creeps. I'm honestly pretty hungover. Just go out and see The Predator if you want to. If you don't want to see it, don't go out and see it. If you're still with me, thank you for bearing with me. I'm sorry. I'm not too acclimated to going as hard as I went last night. And for that, I do apologize. Because I abandoned you. But I came back. And I mean, in reality, I didn't really abandon you at all, because you're going to be getting this on Tuesday regardless. And then Sunday, another bedtime story. Or, I don't know, daytime story, whenever you listen to them, however you enjoy them. They're yours to download for free and listen to my beautiful voice and our other team members' beautiful, sultry, velvet voices. Anytime you want. And if you didn't know that, then I don't know how you're even listening, unless you're on the YouTube page listening to this right now. And it says right in the video, made by Podbean. We are available on all platforms except Google Play, I believe. But what you're going to want to do for next week is you're going to want to have yourself, a double feature. And watch both of Panos Cosmatos' movies, Beyond the Black Rainbow and the new one, Mandy. And I think you should probably avoid seeing or hearing anything about Mandy or even Beyond the Black Rainbow before seeing it. And also avoid what the fuck everyone's saying, just in general, I'd say, because it's getting a lot of buzz right now, and something's like, ooh, it's so trippy, man. And I'm all right. Well, let me just preface this thought by saying I am a man who greatly enjoys the marijuana, and I enjoy my beers. And I mean, I've had some great times in the past on acid. I've had some great times in the more recent past on mushrooms. It's just, you're not going to enjoy yourself seeing these movies for the first time if you're even if you're too high on pot. I took like one hit too many when I was watching Mandy, and it was like, so yeah, for the first time viewing of either of those, like, I wouldn't even really, I mean, unless it's freaking you out too much, I wouldn't even drink, because, I mean, you need to drink it in, man. Because there's so much, like, on display beyond the fucking screenplay when it comes to Panos Cosmatos' films. Like, so much more than almost anyone I can think about that's a working director right now. So, I mean, regardless, give them a look before next time. And I mean, I'm sorry if you don't give them a look and you listen, you're going to get spoilers next time. But I mean, if you like that, hey, it gets your dick hard, it gets you wet. I'm sorry. But if it does, then hey, by all means, come here and get those movies spoiled for you. But I mean, I really want you to see those movies, or a double feature, because we will be having our double feature Panos Cosmatos episode next Tuesday, the 25th. So see both those movies before then. Set aside 3 hours and 40 minutes to go. Other than that, creeps, not too much on the agenda. Like I said, if you're going to buy into what everyone's saying on The Predator, by all means, buy into it. If you want to buy into what I have to say, by all means, buy into it. And option C, you could see it and formulate your own opinion on it, which it seems like a lot of people don't do. But the ball is in your court now, creeps. Until next week, Doc out. Peace out. Love you.